everyone, happy Tuesday. This is Janet Wakeland with Remarkably Created, and tonight on our Facebook Live we're going to take a look at these foam adhesive sheets. When I did my favorite things giveaway for the month of love for February, this was one of the items that was one of my favorites, but I was surprised by how many people have never used them or didn't even know that they were in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. So you can find them online. Simply put foam sheets into the search. But if you're curious as to where they're at in the paper catalog, they're on page 138 and they're item number 5. So they just look like squares, and maybe you're looking at the dimensionals and everything else around it and wondering, why do I need those? Or you just have your go-to adhesives and maybe don't even actually look at what's on the adhesives page. So in this pack, you're going to have 6 foam squares, and let's open these up so that you can see them. So you have 6 foam squares, and they are 4.5 by 4 5/16, okay? So almost 4.5 by 4.5, so just slightly off square. They are double-sided adhesive, and they do have a peel and stick sheet on either side, okay? And it doesn't matter what side you work on. So we're gonna take a look at some ideas using these, and I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks. So many of you see me use these a lot in my classes because it's a great way to send you some alphabets and a greeting, since as Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, we cannot include stamped images per Stampin' Up! Policy, but I can include die cut. So I love to send you alphabets to create greetings. So you see alphabets used a lot on my projects for class. In addition, I love to use the letters on larger framed items to get a bigger greeting. I love to use alphabets to get very personalized greetings. Like, we don't have a stamp that says forever, and we definitely don't have a stamp that says mucho gracias, right? So I love using them for letters. But in this video, you're going to see lots of other uses for them. So you can, first and foremost, cut them down to other sizes with any pair of scissors. It doesn't matter what type of scissors. It may transfer, because it is an adhesive foam sheet, a little bit of stickiness to your scissors, so a little bit of Goo Gone or other adhesive remover is great to clean your scissors up. I usually try to do mine about once a week if I've been crafting pretty heavily. So you can do that. In addition, you're going to see me die cut. Die cutting is the primary way that I use them. So you can cut them with scissors, you can die cut them. The one thing that you cannot do with them is you cannot punch them. And the reason being is this opening here is thinner than the thickness of the adhesive pads. So you're not going to be able to die cut them, okay? You can also go ahead and tear them if you didn't have scissors handy or whatever. They do tear. Now, you don't have to use the whole square at once, and that's one of the places that we'll go ahead and start. So I have a piece of our soft sea foam, and I need to cut it down just a little bit wider than, not with that one, sorry. A little bit wider, and I'm going to use the back side because I want the flower side to show. A little bit wider than my letters. That's okay, that's still going to be useful to me. Thank goodness for double-sided cardstock, right? I call it magic. It's got the same color on both sides. And let's just go ahead and cut a strip of paper from this designer paper. And this will give us 2 tips in one as we work with this. So I have a piece that already has a paper on it. I'm just going to stick this on the other side. And if for some reason you have a little bit of adhesive left kind of around the edges and you don't want that to stick to your plate as you run it through the machine, you can either cut it off, or an embossing buddy will take the stickiness right out of that. Okay, it just adds a little bit of powder to that, and now it's not sticky at all. So now I have a little bit of designer paper right here. I have the letters for the word hello cut out. So we're going to go ahead and just space those down. If you're working on a very specific size piece of paper and you're worried about your letters twisting and turning and going in all different directions. You can put a piece of painter's tape down over them. You can put a piece of washi tape down over them to hold them in place. But whatever tape that you put down over them, you want to be careful that it's not tape such as our tear and tape or something like that that would pull the paper up. Your washi tape and your painter's tape have a nice release on paper. And when you're working with alphabets and dies, in this case, you're going to work with the paper up, okay? So whatever side print you want to show, that's the print that you want up, you want to see. This is the final look that I want, so I want that on my sticky place. So let's go ahead and grab our die cut machine for our first project and first card. And I always tend to really like to squish my letters together as close as possible. Just kind of, that way I still have a whole nother little piece later to work with for something else, a little embellishment or something. We're gonna just make our sandwich and we're gonna run these through. And I'm gonna run this through twice just because it's a habit, but there are times when you may want to run it through a few times or actually even add like a little shim on top of it. And that would be if you're gonna be working with really detailed dies, and you'll see that here in just a little bit. So let me get this off of the plate. I guess I didn't get quite all the sticky coated with embossing powder, but close to it, or the cornstarch from the embossing buddy. And then you just want to lift your dies up. If your dies are peeling all of the adhesive up and you don't want it to come up just yet, any one of the like paper piercing tools or the little dental hook tool from your U-pick tool, if you push it down inside those little release holes, it will release the die and your letters will stay inside here till you're ready for them to lift up, if you want them to stay on the paper. Sometimes they'll come right up with the die, and then other times you're just gonna go ahead and peel them up. So let's set these aside so that I don't lose them. And let's bring in our project and just make a quick card with these. Not that you guys don't know how to make a card, but it's always kind of fun to see a finished piece and something in action. And no, I didn't score my cardstock. Don't tattle on me, and I won't tattle on you, I promise. And this paper here is from the new Zinnia suite that debuts on March 5th. It is so bright and vibrant. You guys got another sneak peek of it this past Saturday night when I showcased some frames that I made using it, because it is amazingly vibrant. So I just want to get an idea. So these letters that I'm working with, die cut letters, are just over 1.5 inches. So I'm going to bring my trimmer back in and cut my cardstock to 1.75 inches. And when you're lining up letters, you can use the lines on your grid. You can use a little clear ruler. Or the other thing that you can do, if you pay real close attention to my projects, you're going to notice that I don't always work on having them straight. What I'll do is I will just kind of alter them slightly up and down a little bit. So intentionally have them going all different directions. And because there's adhesive on them, so like I'll lower this just a little bit, or I'll go a little bit higher. Kind of like you saw here on the Muchos Gracias card, I just had them going all different ways, and that also helps you fit them on there sometimes. So you can have them do that. So we're just gonna add our hello. When you use the designer print on the alphabets, it ends up looking a little bit like wallpaper. It's kind of fun. Get our other L and our O. And for some reason that seal is being a little wonky. It's got a mind of its own tonight, so let's just use some liquid glue. And I'm going to put this up here near the top. Or hello. And then one last thing, we'll grab a piece of ribbon. This is my least favorite thing to do on camera, and that's tie a bow. It's one of those things that it's not my skill set. And I usually, like I'm getting ready to make a knot here. I usually don't do that because I usually pull my ribbon out over and over and over again and fuss with the bow. It's just ridiculous. I usually just like to make a knot or do something else. But every now and then you do want a little bow, right? So we'll just fuss with it just a little bit. But that quick and easy, you can add a message. And look how pretty the tone on tone is with the paper. So definitely playing with your alphabets. You can add custom greetings, cut them from cardstock, cut them from our foils, our specialty papers, all of that kind of fun stuff. So this is a card that you saw me make the other day, but it didn't have a greeting on it. So let's go ahead and add a greeting to it together. Now in this case, I want to use this set of dies right here, and I want to create the word yum out of this alphabet set. But I don't want to cut a whole set. So you don't always have to use all of your paper, you know. So I'm just going to cut a little piece, make sure that that fits on there. My little Y fits on there. And then M. I was like, what letter am I missing? So you can cut little pieces. You don't have to use whole squares. So we can go ahead and, you know, just kind of work with a scrap here. And let me grab one that's a true scrap. Well, we'll just start a new one. So I can take my letters, and I'm going to put this piece of paper down. I'm going to put this piece of paper down. This, we'll cut it. And you can see through the plastic on top, so you don't have to cut through as much sticky and having sticking to your scissors. So, and now we'll cut these apart again. And we're gonna just die cut 3 letters. So let's pull that aside, get rid of our trash. Bring this in. Goes off to the side. So we're gonna lay our die down. We're going to put a die over the M, over the, and these were bigger scraps than I really needed. It was kind of overkill, but just kind of get the idea that you can cut them down to size and get just part of a die. You don't have to use a whole sheet of paper. You don't have to use a whole sheet of the foam adhesive. You can cut just the pieces that you need out that you want to work with. So let's go ahead and pull those off. Oops. And we'll move that aside, and we'll bring our card in. And if you get these little stuck in here, they come right up. So you're just going to pull them up off of your die, and they come right off. All the extras that were there that were part of the paper because it was too big. So we'll just put those aside. And I'll put that with those so we can put them away where they belong later. And now let's just grab our fun little letters. So we're going to do Y, U, and this is that sweet petal pink. This paper is the new coffee paper, and M. So, oops, yeah. I don't know why. I'm going to pick these up and move them just a little bit, and M. So we've got yum, and definitely ice cream is yum or yummy. So one other little tip to give you guys, and I'll do it when we do our next card and I cut one out, but when you're putting your letters down, if you're not sure where they're going to stick, barely stick the bottom edge. Barely stick that bottom edge. Don't flatten the whole thing down. If you barely stick that bottom edge, you're able to pick them up and move them. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility in doing something like that. So let's look at another way that you can use these. So we'll set these here. That's 2 ideas for you so far. Let's put our covers on these so I don't poke myself. And put that aside for a minute. So another way to use these is to help you with making shaker cards. And I did do a few things ahead of time, just in the interest of time and the different tips and things that I want to share with you. But I'm going to be working with the new latte paper. Again, this debuts on March 5th. and it's a really sweet coffee themed suite. Definitely with coffee mugs and small mugs and different, like the foam that goes on lattes. I drink black coffee, so if I don't use all the proper names right, I apologize. But you know, when the baristas make those cute little hearts and swirly things, they've got those for stamped images and fun things like that. So to get us started, I went ahead and did the coffee cup. I did the dark coffee insert, a little spoon, and I did the greeting, "You're the best part of my day." I don't know if that's the coffee or the person I'm going to be giving it to, but maybe both. I went ahead and die cut a circle already, and I die cut a ring. The way that that ring was made was by using two circles that are the same size, or same, two different sizes, and one fits inside the other, one nest. And so that gives me this ring. So what I also want to do is have a piece of foam cut that's circular and is going to be a great size for my card. So I'm not going to peel anything back on this foam. I'm going to go ahead and lay my dies on it. And again, if you're worried about them shifting at all on you, you can go ahead and put some washi tape over it, painter's tape, anything like that. But we're going to go ahead and create a circular ring so that I have a perfect piece of adhesive for the shaker card that I want to make in a width that I want to work with. So this is another way that you can definitely be using them. And the reason why I'm not peeling it back is I don't want my dies to stick to the adhesive. So I'm cutting on top of the release paper. And if you're not sure you've cut the whole way through, you can always look on the back to see if that die cut has indeed come through. I'm going to save this circle because I can definitely use this circle for something. And now I have my ring. So let's go ahead and let's make a shaker card together using our foam adhesive. There are, of course, other adhesives and ways to do it, but I just want to show you ideas for these foam pieces. I'm a big believer that when I invest in something, I love to have more than one way to use it. And so that's why I'm trying to show you all of the different possibilities with these. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of adhesive, but not real close to the edge, because since I am using liquid glue, normally I would do this with seal, but it's being temperamental. I don't want any of that liquid glue to squish into the inside on that acetate. I want to keep that acetate nice and clean. Now, before I do the back, well, no, yeah, let's do this one first. I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's like, it's not a chicken and an egg thing. You can actually do either one first. I was just trying to think which one might be more visual for you guys. It doesn't matter which way you go. You can go either way. And again, I'm being very careful with the liquid glue because this is going to go down inside. Now, I did get just a little bit there, so we'll pick it up and I'll get that off of there. So I got my little circle in there, okay? Basically, liquid glue is not the best glue for this. Working with your seal would be the best, just adding little dots to it, and even glue dots would be best. So don't bring something that's temperamental to the table. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this ring that I created right down here in the center. So I've pulled one side of the release paper off. This has no sticky to it yet because I haven't pulled the backing off. So this is a coffee themed card. I decided to work with some coffee grounds, see if it would impart just a little bit of a scent, as well as just because it's coffee. Beans were too thick for the project that I wanted, so I have a little K-cup here. And, oh, it smells so good. It's called King Cake Coffee, and it's a New Orleans local coffee. So we've got just some of our grounds in there. I have a feeling it's going to be too much. And now I'm going to peel this backing off. And a little bit of the grounds jumped up, but not enough to make a difference. We'll sandwich the coffee grounds then with another piece of acetate. So now we've got our coffee grounds that are inside of that. When you're making shaker cards, yes, Stampin' Up! Sells sequins. We sell glitter and things like that, but look around you and think of what other kinds of fun things. I've used pennies, I've used googly eyes. Here I'm using coffee grounds. Get creative with that. I've used die cut shapes and punch shapes inside of mine, so you can do some fun things. You can even put a few fixed types that are glued like to that back piece right here that don't shift and everything else shifts around it. You can use sand from the beach. Have some fun with them again, guys. And then if you wanted a pattern behind it, in this case I have a lot of coffee grounds, so you won't necessarily see the image that well, but I'm still going to go ahead and use it. So let's just put some adhesive around the edges of this. And I'm going to turn it upside down so that whenever there is a little bit showing through, it is some coffee grounds. We'll set that there. Oh my gosh, it smells good. I guess I'm going to have a cup of coffee tonight. It smells good. I am blessed that I can drink fully caffeinated coffee way into the wee hours of the night. I guess working night shift as a trauma nurse for 17 years took care of that issue. That and then eating coffee beans to stay awake 40 hours while I work 40 hours a week through nursing school. So caffeine is good for me, works for me anyway. Okay, let's build her up. We're going to put our little coffee mug on there. We're going to put our little dark coffee. We'll put our little spoon. And I'm sure you could also make this a tea mug. And of course, we've got that great little lemon piece that we could have on there. But there you go. You could actually use that foam to make yourself a nice, fun shaker card. In this case, it's coffee. And I wish you could smell it if we had smell-o-vision. It smells amazing, guys. So then another way to use the foam strips is that sometimes you have a really detailed die that might, that you want raised up, but what are you going to put under here to raise this piece up, right? And so in this case, because it is a large die, I am going to put an entire piece of cardstock on that die. And I usually cut mine so that it's just a little bit bigger so that I have no exposed adhesive. So I usually cut it just a little bit bigger. And now we have that detailed die. And let's go ahead and bring our die cutting machine back in. Move my coffee here. We're going to put that detailed on. Now this is one again that because of the detail on it and it's narrow, if your die cut's not giving you a good cut, making a shim just a little bit on it might help, or simply just running it through the die. I'm missing a plate, I think. Yes, I am. And sometimes, put the plate down, Janet. It went right through like butter. I was like, I knew I was in trouble that first moment. I was like, oh, we're missing something. So let's roll this through. And I'm going to just do it one more time. The other thing that you could do, and one of the things that one of my teammates, Brooke, taught me many years ago, is to continue to make sure that you get your wheel that's inside of here, the pressure pad that presses down, worn evenly over time, is if you need to run it through a second time to kind of rotate your dies. So she taught me the importance of rotating my dies. So if I needed to take it through again, I would go ahead and I would rotate it, for example, this time, and run it sideways, and that just puts pressure at different places on that pad. Just an extra little bonus tip, but it really made a difference with the longevity of my machines and how well they cut evenly when I started using Brooke's tip. So now I can go ahead and start to pull this apart. Okay, and now if I start to take it off here now, you're going to find that you may have some pieces, just like you do when you're doing regular die cutting, that you're going to go ahead and need that tool to push or pull those extra little pieces out. All of these little detailed pieces will come out, and again, you may just need to do that. Now you also may decide that, hey, I like this look of all of these pieces, and I just wanted this thin piece, but the rest of the outline I'm going to love. And so I'm not going to pull all of those pieces out. They're going to be totally personal and up to you. But now I have a whole piece that's raised, and I'm going to be able to do something amazing with it. I'm going to show you a finished project And I'm going to put this one carefully together so I can use it later, but let me show you one to give you a sneak peek at the same time. This is another new product coming May 5th. It's our magnolias. And look at all of the detail on this. And this is indeed cut as one giant foam piece. I didn't need to worry about, because I wanted everything to lay flat. I didn't want anything to catch an edge or anything like that. So everything lays nice and tight and flat once you press it all down. But the whole thing is indeed elevated in its one giant foam sticky piece. And I didn't have to worry about liquid glue and all of that kind of stuff. So then yet another way that you can use them is to cut an entire solid image out. So in this welcome frame that I created, I went ahead and used that foam on the letters. I stamped the magnolia on white cardstock, and I used Stampin' Blends to color it. Then I went ahead and adhered that cardstock that I had colored to foam, cut it, and now I have an entire raised image as well that provides that really nice 3D look to this frame. The background of this frame is elements from the stamp set, just stamped in smoky slate, gray granite, and basic gray to create a botanical look, and then just a little bit of pop to it. As somebody who lives here in the South with 2 magnolia trees in my yard, I can't tell you how happy I was to see this set coming on May 5th. So again, really, really detailed looks, or cutting entire big giant pieces when you want a really large piece to pop up. And you have like odd angles and stuff, you know, like I wanted the entire thing to pop, and I didn't want anything to droop under the pressure of this acetate cover. So having adhesive that goes all the way to the tips made a big difference in this project. So 2 more projects for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to, I knew we'd come back to this, and I'm just going to cut some letters. So I've got hi, and I've got the letters for love. So let's cut just the letters out. Again, I'm not putting any cardstock paper or anything like that. I'm just kind of trying to use up some space in these corners and things like that with my letters. And we'll move our E in here. Actually, I'm just trying to, sorry about that, guys. Trying to make sure I have a decent slice left over when all is done. I think if I put my E there, then my I. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, which I absolutely adore doing puzzles. So I've got the letters for hi, and I've got the letters for love. Oh, shoot, and then I bump them all. But you got the idea. So we're going to bring this back in one more time, and I'll show you something fun as well that these sheets open up for you. Let's do this one more time, guys. This time I'm not going to stress. You guys know that how to conserve, right? Like, don't punch out of the middle. So, and we'll do our O. I love die cut alphabets. They are something that I keep in my stash, and I actually always have 2 sets because I'm always so worried that I'm going to lose a letter, because that is just absolutely no fun. Okay, so that's our final die cut there for the evening. And let's bring those in, and the 2 pieces that I had cut. So I have one cut. They're both cut from the perennial postage. One's a little wider for our love image. And so we're going to put these down. And unfortunately, the sticky top is coming off, so I'm trying to be extra careful here. I didn't want the sticky top to come off just yet, because then they stick to your fingers and they're a pain to put down. But we're going to make it work. One of the greatest things to creativity that I have found is fixing boo-boos or making things that didn't go quite right work. I mean, I'm going to tell you, that really makes you creative and pushes the boundaries, and you go, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And it's all because it was a happy accident, or if you're like me, you were too lazy to cut them again or start over or anything like that. So let's put our V down and our E. Okay, so they've got the sticky off on the top too. We'll leave that for a minute. And let's do our I and our H. And I want to put these up here so I don't lose them. And I'm going to turn this one lengthwise, just for a different orientation. You can peel the backing off. And there's a reason why I want the sticky. And these aren't perfectly centered, but you're going to get the whole idea. It's more about sharing the idea with you tonight. So for the first one, for the high, I happen to have some glitter here, and no, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell glitter like this anymore, but I can guarantee as crafters, all of you have glitter somewhere in your studio. Fine glitter works best, but you could also use chunky glitter on it. But all you're going to do now with that sticky is you're just going to put it in that glitter, shake it off, and now you've got your glittery words. Okay, just that easy. You were able to make sparkly words that are there for you. You could actually have sparkled, left them on here, peeled the backing off, put all your sparkle on, and then put it direct to the card without putting it on some type of backing or something. Either way works. You could have then had a little bit of a, you know, like a spoon and spoon them over, and that would work as well. So then let's get really messy here for a second. We're going to put that, let's get rid of the paper pieces that are in here. And this is powder tray. Stampin' Up! Does have an embossing little bundle that's the powder tray. It's a nice little brush, a little pickup tool, and the embossing buddy. And it's for so much more. I have some of our gold leafing, and I'm just going to start to press it in. And gold leafing can be very staticky. It has a beautiful look, but if you do not like messes, then close your eyes and don't use this, okay? Because it does definitely create a little bit of a mess. It's one of the reasons why I have a lint tool here in the studio and a little mini vacuum and that little brush tool that you saw that I had. And so we're just gonna kind of make sure that's all pressed on there really good. And now you're just gonna start to rub it off. And when you're all done, once we get all of the extras off, you're going to have the word in gold foil, gold leafing on your project. Just like that. So, and it's not completely taken off, but you get the idea. So you're going to be able to use your gold leafing because it's stuck to the sticky. And then one last idea, well, two last ideas. One, believe it or not, this evening, as I was planning this video, Stampin' Up! Did a project on their StampinUp.com Facebook page, and they showcased using this wide ribbon with the foam sheets. They colored it first with blends, then cut a small little piece and used it with the alphabet and this foam sheet to give you some nice linen letters. So I thought that was really pretty cool. And then the other thing that you can do is you can simply cut your letters, your words, your cardstock, and use the reverse of what's in them. So once I took all my letters out, had I lined them up nice instead of trying to save every bit of piece of paper, if I had put these all the way across, when I'm all done, the holes that are there, so let's do that one last one for those of you that are visual. And let's get a bit of cardstock on here. So we're gonna put that, is that wide enough or a little bit more? I'll put that down. And now I'm going to just hold this back and let's just center these really nice on this piece of paper. So you want them spaced nice, like you were going to actually use the word. You know, like that's how it would look on a card. So you're going to space them really nice. We'll put our two glittered words away. And one last run through the die cut machine. It's definitely gotten its love tonight. Okay, so let's just space these one more time. Make sure they're nice and straight. Again, Washi tape or painter's tape would hold them in place if you're worried about them moving. I a lot of times just quickly pinch them. But each person kind of knows their skill and whether or not they bounce around or anything like that. And I am working with the Stampin' Up! Stamp Cut Emboss machine. I did not share what plates or things like that to use when cutting, because it may be different from the version or what you have. So, but they are very self-explanatory. They're all numbered on the plate. Okay, so let's take these out. And I'm going to just pull the letters the whole way out for now. Now, it's not going to work quite the way I wanted it to because I didn't die cut it the whole way through. You've got to make sure in this case for what I'm trying to do that it die cuts the whole way through the back of the paper. And what would have happened is you would have been left with the opening of the LOVE to showcase whatever other color paper is underneath it. So I didn't die cut it the whole way through. I needed to run it through one more time to actually have that relief piece hang in there. So I messed up by not doing that, but I think you'll get the idea. Let me remove the V. But you would be left with that negative image, and then you could use that on your card and have that elevated and put different colors behind it. So sorry I didn't die cut that the whole way through, but you get the idea. So as a quick review, you can add glitter to the sticky paper. You can add your gold leafing to the sticky paper, tiny little pearls, whatever it is that you like to use. You can cut out full, solid, big images. You can cut out very, very detailed images. You can use them to create the rings and the backings for your shaker cards and get a really nice look for them. You don't have to use the entire sheet. You can just use tiny little pieces and really extend that foam as far as you want to go. And of course, it looks absolutely amazing with letters. And just as a reminder, there are 6 of these squares in the package. So the next time you get ready to place an order with Stampin' Up! And you don't have any of these in your stash, I encourage you to add them, and it will really add some 3D fun to all of your projects that you're making. So have a little fun being creative, guys. And if you have any tips or any questions, first off, if you have any tips about using these, I love learning from you guys. You guys share really great tips back. So if you have any tips or fun things that you do with these foam squares, please comment on them below. And then if you have any questions about anything that I said during the video, of course, ask them below as well, too. So thank you, guys, and I will see you. Today's Tuesday. I'll see you on Thursday with another Facebook Live. Thanks, guys.